Hi there, this is Elizabeth Peck, your spiritual guide here in Empaths Healing Through the Higher Self. I wanted to come on live today and just take a few minutes to talk to you all about a post that I saw in the group that received a lot of engagement. And one of our members posted a question about, do we find it difficult to have friends? And as empaths. So this is a very important topic and one that I have seen come up in my own life and the life of my clients. And so I think it deserves a video. I think it deserves some really good focus and time. So yes, it is very common for empaths to struggle with friendships. And so I wanted to share a little bit of my own personal experience with this to give you an idea of just what I've experienced, and maybe it's something that you will be able to relate to. So for me, with friendships, I was always someone who wanted to have friends deeply. I wanted that deep connection. I wanted that sister-like friend connection. And throughout my life, I would make friends that I cared about deeply, and we would be friends, and eventually it became where I was that go-to person, that fix-it friend, right? I didn't know I was an empath, so not really understanding this, but just always falling into the role. As empaths, we are feelers, we're sensors, we tap into what's going on, and so people automatically feel comfortable talking to us and telling us their problems and sharing with us. And so this is a very natural process. Some of you, I'm sure, have experienced where even complete strangers will come up to you and will tell you their life story. They just automatically are drawn to you and start talking. This is something that's very common. So in my own experience, of course, I didn't know I was an empath, but this would repeat in my friendships where I became the fix-it friend, the go-to person, right? You're that therapist. And it becomes one of those things where it's really natural to you. A lot of the times you're channeling information you don't even realize, but you're actually channeling guidance that's coming through, and you're giving, like sometimes you might be like, well, I gave some really great guidance. So this is common. What also ends up happening is that because we're empaths and because we feel so deeply what's going on with the person, we naturally can take on their situation, take on the problem, take on the emotions, right? So then what happens is we get overly involved. We get overly involved in the situation, in the problem, in the drama. And keep in mind, it isn't ours. So, but we've taken it on. And when we take it on, hi Joanne, hi, I'm not sure, is it lady? I don't know how to pronounce it, but hi, I'm glad you're here. But we end up taking on the problem like it's our own. And in a lot of times, what'll happen is we feel that we need to solve it for them, we need to fix it, we need to solve it, and we actually are losing sleep over their problem. Sometimes even more so than they are. Because energetically, what happens is you are taking on the energy of that problem, which actually offers them relief. How many times have your friends in the past, the friendships that you've had, have they said to you, oh my gosh, I feel so much better now, that I've shared this with you? They feel better, but a lot of times you're left completely drained. And because you're taking on that energy, you are now then processing this information, and you're actually, energetically, your mind, everything is reading it as it's yours, and which is why you kind of obsess about it and you're trying to solve it for them. So this was the pattern that happened in my life over and over again. And what ends up happening more often than not is that as empaths, we overstep. we get to a place where we overstep, where we say too much, where our opinion is given and it's really not even being asked for because we feel so close to them. And also, the other dynamic that happens is that we're giving and giving and giving. It's natural. And we have these high expectations. Most empaths tend to have high expectations in their relationships and with their friendships. And so then it becomes an issue of you start to feel taken advantage of, almost to the point where you're giving, but you don't feel like you're getting from the friendship, the relationship, what it is that you're putting into it. And I know for me, this was a pattern that happened over and over again. And eventually, what unfortunately would happen is that I would get resentful, hurt, feel something would happen. The friend would either do or not do something, or say or not say something, and I would somehow feel betrayed or hurt, or like they weren't being loyal to me. And then all this record starts to play of, oh, I've been there, I've done so much because you did, you take it on for them. Now that's not their fault. They didn't. But in our minds, we're processing the situation and we're saying, well, this friendship doesn't serve me. And so something inevitably happens where that friendship goes away. And it took time to process and understand, but at some point you have to say, when there's a pattern in your life, you have to take a look at the common denominator, right? So I was the common denominator in that problem, and I had to take a step back and really start to understand what was going on. When you understand that you're an empath, this is key, because then you start to see, okay, wow, not my issue, not my drama, not my problem. I can love my friend, I can be there for my friend without taking their problem on, which is key. And one of the ways that you can do that is when your friends come to you with their problems and they want, you to listen, instead of immediately jumping in with a solution, you can just say to them, I'm so glad that you've come to me. I'm really sorry that you're sad. I'm sorry that you're in pain. I'm sorry that you're moving through this, but I'm just really glad that I can be here to support you and that I can be here to listen. Because what we have to learn to do as empaths, and this is not an easy thing to do, but what we need to acknowledge is that every single person has their own journey, and we need to respect that journey. And just because we are empaths and we intuit, or we can feel, we can sense what it is that they're moving through, doesn't mean that we need to tell them what that is. It doesn't mean that we need to jump in and we need to give them the advice, or we need to tell them what it is that, oh, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm sensing, especially if they haven't asked us. If they ask for our opinion, if they ask, then sure, if they're a close friend, you can offer some words, some advice, knowing that when you offer it, it's letting it go, because it's their choice. It's their choice, it's their journey. And I'll tell you, it's interesting, a lot of times when people ask for your opinion, they may want it, or they may think they want it, but the chances of them actually doing it or taking it can be sometimes not so great. And so as empaths, you also have to learn that you don't take that personally, because it's not about you. It's about them. It's about them. And every friendship that you have, every relationship that you have is in your life to help you and to serve you and to show you some things about yourself. Okay? It's there for you to take a look at what's going on here. If I'm being hurt by something that my friend is doing or not doing, if I'm being triggered by something that's happening in the relationship, it has more to do with the fact that the hurt was already there within you. And that whatever they said or did is just highlighting that hurt within you, and is just bringing it into your awareness that there's a hurt there that needs to be healed. And so that's kind of a whole nother level of things, but I want to share these words with you because I think it's important that we look at things from a different perspective when we look at friendships. Friendships are beautiful. They are healing. They are nurturing. When there's respect and when there's boundaries, we need to have that in relationships. So many of you talked about the fact that you're drained. You're drained in your friendships. You're drained in being around people. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. You know, we get drained because, again, we're plugging in and we're taking it on. And part of that is because when you're an empath, one of the things that tends to happen is that you start to talk to your friend and they're really sad. And so all of a sudden, then you feel like you need to get down in there with them and be really sad too. And that is really, and then of course, what starts to happen? You get really sad, so your vibration is lowering with theirs. And then you're starting to take on the issue, right? So again, so now it's coming in. So this is all serving to drain you. What's needed is for you to stay here, to hold your space. And that's why I said it's so beautiful for you to be able to say to them, you know, I'm glad that you can come to me. I'm glad that I can be here for you, to love you through this. Because that's what's needed, is for you to hold that high vibration of love so that you can help them through by just holding space for them to heal, for them to move through the journey. And so, kind of getting back to my own process and my own experience, once I started to understand that it was my expectations and what I was putting out there, what I was expecting my friends to do and how I was expecting that they be and they act, and then inevitably, of course, those expectations were not going to be met. And so when I realized that when you realize and you have an awareness of something, you can start to shift. You can start to shift and you can start to change and acknowledge. And that is key when you look at friendships. You know, it's really easy when you go through breakups, right, with your friends, when something hurtful happens. We can carry guilt, a lot of guilt. Like, you loved that friend and then something happened and now there's no friendship. So we can carry a lot of guilt, or we can have a lot of blame that we can be carrying, right? Blame and resentment. And so it's important for you to realize and acknowledge if you're carrying that with any of your past friendships or relationships, because in the end, when we look at every friendship that you've had, every relationship, it's there and it was there to serve you for your soul's expansion and your soul's growth. The things that have happened to help you. They happened so that you could move through and heal and expand, because that's why you're here. The person was a character playing a role for something that you needed to understand. For me, many times I felt betrayed in friendships. Something would happen and I would feel betrayal. And that betrayal was teaching me the soul's attribute of trust. It was helping me to cultivate trust. And so it's important for you to be able to just start to shift and look at the past and what's happened as, how was it really here to help me grow? And if you're at the point where you're still holding blame and guilt and resentment, then it's about looking at that and understanding that moving through that is really what's needed now. Because I think some of you, based on the comments that I saw, have given up on friendships. You just, you've kind of given up, or you've kind of thought that, I don't need to have many friends at all, and what I want to offer you is that instead of giving up on that, let's take a look at what's still there and what needs healing. Because no matter what's happened in your past, no matter how awful it may have been, I just want to offer you to be able to look at it, to see that it was here to help you in some way, that it was here to help you move up and out and grow and expand in a beautiful way, because that's why we're here. I'm just looking at some of my notes because I want to make sure that I touch on some of your other comments. Hey, Dana. I want to also talk about the fact that many of you said that you find it that you need to be alone, that it's important for you to have space to be alone. And it's true. You know, as empaths, we need time, we need space, we need time to rejuvenate, right? You know, I've been posting a lot about how it's so important to ground yourself and to take that time that you need for yourself. But I want you to know that you don't have to be alone, that you don't have to just to separate yourself and remove yourself from a life of friendships and a life of enjoying yourself with other people. Because really, we're here to shine brightly. And how do we do that? Well, it's meant to be with others. But it's also okay, and I want you to know, it's also okay as you are coming into so much awareness, and as you are doing your reflecting and healing and your forgiveness, because it's so important to be able to forgive. You know, and in forgiveness, you know, again, we talk about this a lot in this group. Forgiveness is not about saying what you did to me was okay. It wasn't okay. You know, if you said something but forgiveness is just about knowing that, hey, I don't blame you in the sense that you're moving through what you needed to move through, and what you did and what you said and how you acted was about what's going on with you. It wasn't about me. And so we just need to be able to allow for that forgiveness to happen. You don't even have to be the one to forgive. You can just say, I allow for forgiveness to happen, and let God's source creator do what, you know, let the forgiveness come through that way. You just need to be willing to be able to let it go, because forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for your peace. So it's okay that as you're moving through some of these friendship breakups, right, that you do give yourself some time and space. And you might find that you may have fewer friends, maybe a few good friends, and that's okay. That's okay, because what's happening is you're giving yourself space. You're giving yourself space to integrate the healing that you're moving through. You're giving yourself space to find your tribe. Yeah, hi Sam. Did I say hi Dana already? Dana's here too, watching. Exactly, you know, it is about finding your tribe, but it's giving yourself space to do that. And what's beautiful is that when you give yourself that space, and as you grow and you integrate, the friends that do show up are so amazing. You know, it's but again, a lot of times we're like, you know, nobody's showing up, you know, what's going on? I want more friends. It's about time. Time again is your friend. Time isn't your enemy. And so the time that it's taking for things to happen, it's because that's the time that you need. So if you're wondering, or if you've kind of given up on friends, well, then yeah, you know, friends, probably new friends that are in alignment with you and where you are and your tribe isn't really going to show up because you've kind of given up. So don't give up. Take a look at what those friendships were here to offer you and show you how they were here to expand your soul, because that's really what's needed. Don't give up. Just keep going. Face forward and move forward and continue with your healing and your growth, because that's what we need to do. We all need to do that. It's what I continue to do each and every day. And so I offer this to you. Let's see. I just want to make sure. So again, I'll just rephrase what we're talking about, right? We're talking about being empaths and whether it's hard to have friends or not. And yes, it can be, but it's all here to teach us. It's all here for us to learn. And boundaries. Having boundaries is something that is really important. Hi, Sherry. Thank you. She says, yeah, this is wonderful. Good. I'm so glad. I'm glad that you're finding it helpful. Boundaries is so important because as empaths, because again, you're a healer, you're a giver, it's a natural way of being. understanding that the boundaries are important, understanding that your space is your space, another person's space is their space. They have a journey, you have a journey. And we can support one another, and we can be here to love and help the other person by just really, truly holding space. You don't need to go any further than that. And that's, I think, where we get, caught up as empaths. Somebody made a comment, this was my segue here. Somebody made a comment about that, I think I'm too straightforward sometimes, and that may have something to do with my not having friends. Well, yeah, I mean, if you are poignant and you're straightforward and you are offering, an opinion because you're seeing something, because you're feeling it, you're an empath. And, yes, it is our superpower to be highly sensitive, but it's also not our place to be getting into people's lives and getting in there and saying it how it is, that's really not what we're here to do at all. And I think we can get confused. And I know that I did, because I know that was definitely a problem I had. And, I don't want to say even a problem, it was just something I did because I thought that was a choice I was making at the time, because I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. And even then, if I look back, that was the best that I knew how to do, and I was trying to do my best. And now I understand, looking back in my growth and awareness, I understand that that's not my place. It's holding space for them. So again, just being able to say to somebody, I'm so glad that I can be here for you. I'm sorry you're sad. I'm sorry that you're in pain. I'm glad that I can be here to listen and to love you through this. And whatever it is that the person is going through, that you're there for them, no matter how unworthy they might be feeling or how sad, that none of that is going to shake your ability to hold space for them and to love them through it. That's really what the friendship is about, without judgment, allowing people to move through their path. And yes, sometimes those paths will separate, because that's the way it is. We're not meant to be in everyone's life for our entire life here. So that's okay. That's all right. So understand that. And just know that one of the other things that is so important in friendship is that we understand that our friends are not here to make us whole. Because that was something that I found as well in my growth and in my understanding, is that I was always looking outside of me for a validation. And this goes for not just friendships, but this very much, for relationships, our partners, those who we love and those who we commit to. Looking outside of ourselves for validation, looking for someone to fill the hole, H-O-L-E, to make us whole, W-H-O-L-E, doesn't work. And so it's really important that we understand that in any of our relationships. The most important relationship you have is the one that you have with yourself. And it's through self-compassion, self-love, self-trust, and faith that we are able to heal and move forward. So if you have any questions, or if you want to add anything here, please type in your questions now. I'm happy to answer them. If you have questions about friendships, relationships, or this topic, I'll be happy to answer. But I really hope that this has helped to just at least give you some good food for thought, and maybe help you with some shifts when it comes to how you look at your friendships and the relationships in your life. And please don't blame yourself or continue to carry guilt. I did that for a really long time. It was really painful, and I'm sure many of you can understand that you've been through it as well. When you have good friends and that friendship dissolves for whatever reason, it's painful, and you can carry a lot of guilt for things that what I said, what I did, what I didn't do. And just know that it's time to forgive yourself, forgive them, to let it go, because it is there to help you and to help you so that your relationships and friendships going forward are going to be more beautiful, are going to be more expansive because of the growth and expansion that your soul is doing through the experience. Okay. All right, I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to say much love to all of you, and I'm here. So for those of you who are ready to move more deeply into your healing, just private message me. We'll schedule a discovery call to talk and to see if we're a good fit to work together. And I, along with your beautiful spiritual guidance team, I am so excited to be able to help you to move through your journey, your healing journey. Okay? So much love to all of you, and I'll see you in the group.